Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another Snap Judgment review. What's a Snap Judgment review if you've never been here? Well, I think video game reviewers tend to get a little carried away with needing to 100% or near complete a game. They forget how much fun the game is just in the beginning or to play at all. They overlook maybe some mistakes on that level. So, I take about 5 to 10 hours with these games, no more, no less. And I just trying to give you an idea whether you're going to enjoy it right off the bat or not. That, coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I'm not going to give you a score. I'm going to tell you what the game is overall, then I'm going to tell you what the pros and the cons of the game are, in my point of view, as all reviews are. Then, I'll tell you whether I'm going to be sticking with it outside the purposes of this review or not. So that out of the way, we are reviewing an indie darling, Garde. This one I kind of did a little preview for when we did I did a video for a bunch of Steam Next Fest demos I played. And this was one that I kind of had a lot of fun with. Anybody who's been watching this channel for a long time knows that I have proclivities for brawlers and I have proclivities for third-person fighting-esque games. Sifu was one of my all-time game of the years. Streets of Rage 4. Then you've got your multiplayer fighters like For Honor and stuff like that have captured me over a long periods of time. What is Garde? Garde is from Kowloon, and it is basically it's hard to explain. It's kind of like a swashbuckling brawler. It's very comedic, very tongue-in-cheek, which we'll talk about later in the pros and cons. Basically, you play this woman who's kind of trying to fight injustice in this, what I believe is Venice, Italy, with just her trusty rapier by her side, taking down the unjust guards and other such things of that nature. The system is pretty straightforward. It kind of has a kind of Arkham Knights kind of parry, counter, whatnot system with a little bit more intuitiveness to it. You also get some special abilities to it, but you can parry to counter people. You can also do quick dodges to counter people, and then you have attacks as well as large attacks, and then there is a heavy environmental focus in this game. Just about everything is pushable, throwable, droppable, which is very interesting. Actually, one thing about this game that kind of separates it from your Arkham Knights or your other games of that ilk is everybody attacks at the same time. So you really have to kind of like... they wanted to capture that swashbuckling feel of the swashbuckler runs to an area so that they can get the drop on a couple of enemies and then runs to another area. That's very much what this is. You have to kind of like run away, get better footing, take a couple of them out, then run away again, which is very interesting. That being said, like I said, the plot is very tongue-in-cheek. It's very straightforward paint by numbers with a lot of humor that... well, like I said, we're going to talk about in the cons. But the game itself is really about just moving to each area and taking on a different group of bad guys. It's very much a fighter's puzzle game, figuring out how to take these bad guys out the most efficient way with the tools naturally given to your character, as well as just strewn around the map. And this is going to be a short one, guys, because there's not a whole lot to go into. We're going to get into the pros and the cons right away. So, I like to go positive first. Let's hit those pros. Number one pro, out of the gate, the environmental weapon. The environmental weaponry in this is amazing. There is no shortage of boxes to kick, glasses to throw, bombs to kick. You kick braziers that ignite cannons and blow things up. There is all sorts of different things to just interact with. I've died multiple times in levels just because I want to see what everything on the map does when I interact with it. I think that is one of the biggest strong suits of this game, and it really makes the field feel interactive and a lot of ways. This game reminds me of Sifu. I mean, Sifu is... no offense to this game, but Sifu is much better done, and it is... it's really good at telling a much more adult and emotionally driving storyline, but very much they're the same thing. Move to another area, take on a group of people, lots of environmental stuff to interact with, to turn the tables into your field, into your advantage. But this one, the environmental weaponry is just so good. I would actually say, in all things, if everything else falls short, this would actually be superior to even Sifu. There's just everything you can run into, kick, jump over, throw. It's great. It's really cool. And it really makes the battle feel very, very interactive. And you never really feel cornered even when you are. Yeah, I hate to say that this is actually a pro, but nowadays I just feel like it has to be mentioned. There's no bugs that I've noticed whatsoever. It's receptive. It's responsive. The UI works really well. The controls are fluid and well done. It plays like a dream, which is really nice. Just a nice change of pace from a lot of other AAA games that always come out buggy and messed up and weird. My next pro is the kind of arena sections of the game. This game has some light platforming in it. It also has like kind of these constant fights, but then you get to these big areas that they actually call like combat arenas, which are just big open areas with lots of stuff in it where people will just keep pouring in and you'll just have to keep fighting through waves of them. Love these areas. Really awesome. There is apparently a mode that you unlock where about when you get about halfway through the game where you can just do this. This is just it. And honestly, part of me wishes that was the game. We'll talk about that in the cons in a second. But the story itself, because that would have made my day. The fighting is really good in this game. It's just unfortunate that it's dragged down by some other things, which we're about to talk about. But like, the fighting is phenomenal. Let's get into the cons, though. Let's do it. Number one, with a bullet, it is corny. I hate to say this because I don't like to knock another writer or be negative at all. I felt, and this could be picky. I'm going to give them all the leeway possible. This might be just like pickiness on my part. And if you're somebody out there that enjoyed this game, more power to you. I felt like almost all the jokes fell flat. The story is very one note and derivative. And while I do appreciate that everything is voice acted, and is voice acted pretty well, it's just, I found myself skipping through it just to get to the next fight, not caring about the characters or what was happening to them or the world around them, just kind of trying to get to the next fight or problem. You know, you have a game like Sifu where there isn't real, everything's kind of told a little bit more organically in that, but like, I'm much more involved in the story, much more involved into what's going on, whereas this one wasn't really there for me. And it just all the writing just kind of falls flat for me. I'm sorry. I don't like to knock other writers because it is a very hard thing to do. It's a very hard thing to be creative. I know because I do some writing, and it's not easy. But this one just didn't speak to me enough to where I have to comment on it. My next problem is how short it is. I am only about halfway through this game, and I've got a confession. I know I say at the top 5 to 10 hours. I did not get a full 5 hours with this. I got about, I'll say like 2 maybe that I played, and I'm halfway through the game, story mode. That's kind of a bummer to me. If I can do my snap judgment review in 2 hours, like to the point where I feel like if I play 4 hours, I'm going to beat the whole game, then I think that's kind of a problem. I think there could be more to this game, which is kind of a bummer. I could be wrong, obviously, because I'm only 2 hours in, but it really looks like there's only 4 episodes, and I just beat the second episode. They are very sizable episodes. They play for a long time, but again, 2 hours means it's only going to be 4, and then the arena mode, I'm going to assume, is just the combat arenas from the story mode, repurposed for quick fight stuff. I gotta say, I think this game should have been made with roguelike mechanics. I know that a lot of people are sick of that, and I understand it, but one of the things, like if you look at like Sifu, you can beat the whole game in like like 2 hours. But because of those roguelike mechanics, you kind of have to keep going back and doing it to actually get the storyline. I feel like if they had presented this in that kind of way, it might have been a little bit better. It works a little bit better in places of fighting like this. With this, it just feels like I'm getting through it so fast. I got it on special, and I'll definitely say it was worth the $13 I paid for it, but I don't know that I would say it was worth much more than that, just because of how fast I'd get through it and be done with it. So that brings us to whether or not I'm going to stick with it. Sure, I'm going to play the next 2 hours. I'm going to get through it. I love a good fighting game. Love a game with good fighting mechanics, and this has that. But it is really brought down by the fact that it is, from what I can tell, very small with very little extra anything to it, replayability, and has a storyline that just does not speak to me in any way, shape, or form. But did I get it wrong? Did I get it right? Let me know in the comments below, or you can contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. Influence this and all of our shows from there. As long as you guys keep watching, listening, I'll keep making them. See you guys next time.